Hello guys, welcome to AppSheet and more. And in this session, we're going to look at something very exciting. So I stumbled on AppSheet mobile framework quite recently, and I'm very excited to see what the new look of AppSheet device mode is going to be like. So AppSheet has made some changes that are going to be the new future of how AppSheet is going to look like in the device mode. So if you're excited, let's explore them. Okay guys, so let's explore the new features AppSheet has introduced to the device view. Now this is a previous application I did a video on how to use donor charts in AppSheet. Now we're going to actually see what is going to happen when I activate the new features in the mobile view on this application. Now to help us spot these differences, I have made a copy of this app. So this is the original app. This is going to remain as it is, and I'm going to make these new features on this app. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to where I can activate this. So to do this, you go to view, okay, then you come to the settings, then you come to general, okay, and under general, there is this new option to activate the new mobile framework. Now let me just read what it says. It says improves the mobile responsiveness and stability with a more modernized user experience. Will replace current mobile framework in the future. So in the future, this is not going to just be a toggle, but this is going to be the standard. Okay, in the last few years, AppSheet has seen a lot of transformation, and I think this is going to be one of the transformations that we're going to be seeing for a very long time. So I'm going to activate this, and let's see what's going to happen. Great. So now we are into the future of AppSheet, and you can see from the get-go that some things have changed. One is the shape of our action button. So in primary view, the action button is circular, right? But now it's a square with rounded edges, which I think is neat. So I like that. The second one is what a view looks like when selected. Okay, so now it kind of has a feel to show it has been selected. In the previous view, or in the previous where the mobile view was displayed, you realize that there was this line beneath it. So I'm just going to duplicate this view so that you see what it looks like when it's not selected. So I'll come here and I'm going to duplicate this. Okay, so this is what's like when it's not selected. Okay, in the original, when you select it, you have the line beneath it. Right, can you all see this? Okay, good. Now, when we come here, let's duplicate this view as well, and let's see how it looks like. Okay. So I'm going to duplicate this. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it's not selected, just like in the previous style. And now when it's selected, this is what it looks like. Okay, I also think this is neat. So those are the first two obvious one. You might not have noticed, but then the menu icon has changed. Okay, so now the menu icon is 3 straight lines. Okay, initially the lines were cascading, right? So now this is the menu. Okay, and then this is what it looks like now. Another new change I've noticed is when you try and hover your mouse on the options in the menu, you notice a slight feel indicating that you are hovering against that particular option. In the previous option, or in the previous view, we didn't have that, right? So you can barely tell that you're actually hovering against a particular option in the menu view. So I also think that is quite decent. That is cool, right? Good. So that is also for the menu aspect of AppSheet's new view. Now in the search option, in the old view, when you click search, this is what you get, right? So you have search, there's a box or an input box that allows you to search. This is a bit archaic, so AppSheet has updated this to this. Okay, I actually really like this. It looks much more modern. The UI is actually much more exciting. All right, so that's some of the things you spot at a go when you bring in the new modern look into AppSheet. Let's explore some of those that are not quite obvious. Now, let's change the position of this button. You know, for action buttons, they can either be primary, prominent, they can either be inline or hidden. Okay, so I'm going to change the position and let's see what happens. So I'm going to come here and set this to prominent. And you notice that for prominent, it hasn't really changed in terms of the shape. But what has changed is that there's now a faint borderline that separates where the actions are going to be from where the data is, which I really appreciate. Now, when you come here and you do this in the old view, so I'm going to set this to prominent. There is no line. Okay, so the action buttons are just between the picture and the name. It really isn't as exciting as what we have now. Okay, so when you have more action buttons, they're going to display over here, and then there's a clear border before your data continues. I really appreciate that in the new AppSheet view. Those are some of the obvious ones that you see at the get-go. Now let's see some of the not so obvious ones. Okay, now for instance, if we include more action buttons to a view, AppSheet has made some updates to how it's going to show. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to duplicate this particular action. So I'm going to click here, duplicate, 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 kind of duplicate this to about 6, and let's see how it's going to look like. Okay, so we come here. So now once you have more than 3 action buttons, your action button is just going to be a more action button. So when you click this, you have all the available action buttons for that particular view. Okay, in the old view in AppSheet, what was going to happen was, so let me just do this quickly. I'm going to duplicate this. So duplicate, duplicate, duplicate. So let me come back here. So currently we have 4. You're just going to have more action buttons showing over there. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then duplicate. All right. So now you notice that I have only 4 action buttons showing over here. I do not have all the action buttons showing over here. But in the new view, once I click this, all these action buttons will pop up. Now they don't also prevent, or they don't also block the data as is being done over here in this particular view, right? So I really appreciate this in the new AppSheet view. So when I click on this, I have the 7th action button over here. If I continue to create more, let's see what happens. Duplicate and duplicate. Let's see. So over here, I have this more action that brings up a secondary panel that shows all the other action buttons that couldn't be shown on the main view. Okay, here, let's see. Duplicate, duplicate, duplicate. Okay, come here. And I do not know where my action buttons are, right? So I think the new view actually brings in much more user experience so that the user doesn't have to struggle if there are more than 1 views. And then you also do not have to hover over your action buttons before you know what they stand for or what they represent. In the new view, you can easily see this with the names popping up. Okay, so that's also one of the key things that I've introduced. Now, just like how they've introduced a more action or a more button for when you have a lot of action buttons, they've also introduced a more for when you have a lot of views. So let's see how that's done. So I'm going to come over here to views and I'm going to duplicate the staff view. So duplicate this, duplicate, duplicate, duplicate. Let me move this to middle, and this guy to middle. Okay, let me add some more. Duplicate. First. Okay, and 1 more. Duplicate. Good. So now you notice I have only about 4 views over here, and I have a more view or more option. I click more, I can see some more views. Let's see if I can add some more, and let's see what happens. So I'm going to move this to you shouldn't have too many views, but then let's see what happens. So move to primary view. Okay, so over here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When I click more, I have an extra 5. So that's about 9 to 10 views that have been created over here. Okay, so this more option prevents you from crowding your main or primary view. Okay, now in the previous or in the old one, it wasn't that way. So in the old one, if you look at this, duplicate, duplicate. Let's keep duplicating this. Okay, I'm just going to move them when I'm done. Okay, so move this to first, move this to first, Move this to first. Okay. All right. So you're going to have everything stuffed over there, right? Let's see what's going to happen if I create one more. Okay, so I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 staff, 9. I don't know where the rest of the views are, but they're definitely not showing. Okay, so in the old view, you have some of your views not showing because basically the area is not sufficient for you to have all those views in the primary view. But in the new one, you have a more that allows you to keep adding some more views. Okay, so that's also very exciting. All right, now let's look at what else has changed in our app. Okay, now in the app, you would have also noticed that the sync icon has changed. So in the old version, this was our sync icon. When you click here, it syncs. But in the new version, it's going to give you some information on when it last synced, and then now you can sync. I think in this regard, I actually appreciate the old version because the old version, we just a click away to get this data synced. But now with the new version, it's 2 clicks away. So I click this, I see when it last synced before I can sync. I think I prefer the old version when it comes to this. Now next, we're also going to look at one very important update that has been made in regard to how images are displayed as headers in detail view. So what I mean is when you come here, okay, so you have an image, okay, as the main image over here, and you want to add a header to this particular view. So I want to add the name as a header over here. So in the old view, let me come here. When I click this and I come to staff detail and I say add header and I say name or first name, you have this, which is not intuitive in any way. I have never liked this. I have never used it whatsoever, right? Because, well, I don't know, it just doesn't work for me, right? But in the new view, okay, if I come to, okay, let me bring this here, staff details. I bring the header, okay, and I bring the name. The name is at the very end, okay, it's at the corner, so it doesn't block the image whatsoever. I think this is a very good addition to AppSheet UI. The previous one just wasn't working, right? So this, you find a lot of people now actually adding headers in the new view. Okay, so that's one more thing you can consider. Now, the last thing I'm going to point out, which is really very cool and something I hadn't actually paid attention to, is your ability to color every icon differently in a format view. So let me explain this. So I'm going to change this back over here, and then I'm going to come here to our start view. Okay, now I'm going to try and add some format rule that is going to add some icons to this particular user's name. Okay, so when I come here, I come to format rules, click new rule, create a rule. I'm basically going to select the name. So let's come to staff, select the staff's first name. I'm going to put an icon, let's say a plane, right? I'm going to put this color over here. Okay, first name selected like that. So you have an icon against each of them, their names like this, right? And I'm going to save this. Okay, now I'm going to add another icon. I'm going to add another icon as another rule. So I'm going to click plus here, create this, okay, as rule number 2. Okay, change this to staff, first name, and I'm going to select a hat, right? And I'm going to use a red highlight. Now you notice at the get-go that once I change this to red, our plane initially, which was blue, okay, or topaz, has changed to red as well. So that was the main issue with icons when it came to formatting them separately. You cannot use different colors for icons in the old view. All of them have to be the same color, and it's always going to be the glass formats color. So if I come here to rearrange, and I bring the hat first and the plane last, so making the plane the last format, and I close this, you notice both of them have the same color. But in the new AppSheet view, it's actually possible for you to actually have separate colors for your separate icons. So let's see how that works. So I'll come here to format rules, click on this plus, okay, create a room. Okay, so staff, I'm going to bring in my plane. Okay, I'm going to set it to this color, right? So let's come here. Where's name, first name? So we have this, right? I'm going to create yet another room. Okay, I'm going to set this to hats, and I'm going to make this red, right? And at a glance, you can see how this is going to really change AppSheet UI, right? Because initially, all of them have to have the same color, but now you can have different color. Hell, you can have different colors for different people, and it's going to be really amazing. So that is one of the main additions that has been made to AppSheet UI that has changed how it works. So let me know which of them do you like and which of them are you going to find yourself using henceforth. So thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye guys.